Mangwana ni mwalelepo vukenja ni kleklas vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, your portal into Africa's potent stories. Today, on the 15th of September, we turn our focus to Malawi, where citizens head to the polls under the weight of economic hardship, fuel shortages, and corruption concerns. In Benin, former President Boni Yayi rules out a comeback while backing a democratic transition. In South Sudan, Vice President Riek Machar faces treason charges and removal from office, sparking fears of renewed instability. Burkina Faso abolishes visa fees for African nationals in a bold Pan-African move, while South Africa revisits Steve Biko's death with a fresh inquest. Watch us on DSTV 285, GOTV 25, 1up2.com, and NTV Africa on YouTube. Keeping in mind that ShopRite is turning 35 and they don't want to do it alone. They want to celebrate with you. Look at the details that are in front of you and do make sure you enter the competition and you stand a chance to win a 3,500 Namibian dollar voucher to spend as you wish with ShopRite, celebrating 35 years. This is Africa Good Morning. My name is Ashwin Berry. Top stories shortly.
When the sun sets, the news begins. Welcome to Sunset News, bringing you the latest headlines, in-depth community stories, economic updates, sports highlights, and your daily weather forecast. Join us every weekday from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. on DSTV channel 285 and GOTV channel 25, or stream us online at oneup2.com. Join us on Facebook at Sunset News to stay updated.
Let's get into the top stories on Africa Good Morning. Malawians are set to vote on September 16 tomorrow for a president, members of parliament and local councillors following 5 years of rising economic hardship worsened by natural disasters. The presidential contest is seen as a race between incumbent Lazarus Chakwera and former President Peter Mutharika. Voters will weigh several issues, including economic stagnation, as growth is forecasted at only 2% this year, marking the fourth consecutive year population growth has outpaced the economy. An IMF program collapsed in May, leaving Malawi to negotiate a fresh arrangement after the elections. Inflation has remained above 20% for 3 years, making essentials unaffordable and sparking youth-led protests earlier this year. Over 70% of Malawians live below the World Bank poverty line of $3 per day. Corruption continues to dominate, with critics accusing Chakwera of selective enforcement despite anti-graft promises. Hunger persists following drought and Cyclone Freddy, leaving millions dependent on aid. With most citizens reliant on subsistence farming, fuel shortages further strain daily life, leading to long queues and public anger, despite Chakwera's assurances of sabotage. We'll be talking more about that in our economic news. Former Benin President Boni Yayi has firmly ruled out any comeback to power, stating that he will only serve as an elder focused on promoting peace, stability, and democracy in the country. Speaking in a video message, he emphasized the importance of dialogue. His declaration comes amid speculation that he might run again, despite constitutional limits barring anyone who has served 2 presidential terms from returning to office. Yayi governed Benin between 2006 and 2016 and has since remained an influential political figure. The ruling party has nominated current Finance Minister Romuald Waldagni as its candidate to succeed President Patrice Talon, whose term ends in 2026. Concerns had grown that Talon could attempt a constitutional amendment to pursue a 3rd term, but that possibility has now been set aside with Wadagni's selection. Benin is scheduled to hold its next presidential election in April 2026, and Yayi's role will remain advisory, ensuring dialogue and stability as the West African nation prepares for a significant transition in leadership. In our next story, South Sudan's first Vice President Riek Machar has been charged with murder, treason, and crimes against humanity for alleged involvement in March militia attacks, the Justice Minister announced. Soon after, President Salva Kiir suspended Machar by decree broadcast on state radio. Petroleum Minister Piotr Kang-Shol has also suspended and charged. The case relates to violence in Nasir, where the White Army militia attacked government forces, with prosecutors alleging Machar influenced its operations. He has been under house arrest since March, with international calls for his release warning of renewed instability. The charges highlight ongoing tensions between Kiir and Machar, whose rivalry fueled South Sudan's 2013 to 2018 civil war that killed an estimated 400,000 people. Although the pair formed a unity government under a peace deal, violence has persisted. Justice Minister Joseph Gang stressed the matter was now sub judice, but revealed 20 others were indicted, 13 still at large. Activists have urged a fair trial, insisting proceedings avoid becoming a political or kangaroo court spectacle amid heightened divisions. Burkina Faso has announced that all African nationals may now visit without paying visa fees, a measure aimed at boosting tourism and strengthening continental unity. The government said applicants must still complete an online form and obtain approval, but the payment requirement is lifted. Previously, tourist visas cost around $100 and business visas nearly $165. Security Minister Mahamadou Sana explained that the decision reflects the Pan-Africanist vision of interim President Ibrahim Traore, focused on reinforcing historical bonds between African nations. He added that the initiative should also enhance Burkina Faso's international visibility while promoting Burkinabe culture. Although visas remain obligatory, the elimination of costs makes travel more accessible for Africans across the continent. Authorities believe the move will improve people-to-people ties and encourage broader engagement with the country. This reform comes as Ouagadougou seeks to redefine its role on the African stage, positioning itself as a welcoming destination while advancing integrationist policies and presenting a gesture of solidarity to fellow African citizens. In the last of our top stories, the family of anti-apartheid activist Steve Biko has expressed confidence that a new inquest into his 1977 death will finally secure justice. Speaking to the BBC, his son Kosinati Biko said the family remains certain about the circumstances of his father's killing, citing torture by 5 policemen during detention under apartheid. At the time, police claimed Biko died from head injuries after hitting a wall, but later testimonies admitted he was assaulted. Despite these revelations, no prosecutions followed, even after the Truth and Reconciliation Commission recorded the abuses. The inquest opened on the 48th anniversary of Biko's death in Gqeberha, hearing that 2 suspects are still alive in their 80s. The case is seen as critical for South Africa to confront its violent past, with Nkosinati stressing that reconciliation requires accountability. He argued that democracy cannot thrive without addressing unresolved crimes of apartheid. Families of victims continue pressing for prosecutions after decades of delays, hoping this process will affirm responsibility for one of apartheid's most notorious killings. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. Shortly, we'll be joined by Mike Sichula as he delivers the Zambia report. But prior to that, it's the weather. It's time for us to talk to Mike Sichula as he delivers the Zambia report, which is packed with some very potent headlines. Mr. Sichula, Mwibanji.
Mwebandi, Africa, good morning, our dear viewers.
Africa, good morning. Indeed, a little bit of a backdrop to your first story, Mike. Zambia is constitutionally a Christian nation, and thus cases like the one I'm about to talk about are taken seriously. 2 men have been convicted of witchcraft against President Hichilema.
Yes, quite an interesting story to be coming from Zambia, considering the background that you have just highlighted to our viewers, that Zambia was declared a Christian nation by late second Republican President, Mr. Frederick Chiluba. However, in this latest 2 men, one from Mozambique and one a Zambian, have been convicted by the Lusaka Magistrate Court for practicing witchcraft. So the court established that the 2 men who were found with a live chameleon and an assortment of charms, indicated that they had the knowledge of committing witchcraft. So these men will be sentenced by the court today, because what happened last week was that them just being found with a case to answer and being convicted, but the sentence will be mailed out today. So however, these 2 men in mitigation told the court that they believed that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema has told the nation himself that he does not believe in witchcraft. So it was one of their mitigations when they pleaded for leniency from the court. But these 2 men also, what our viewers need to know is that they were contracted to commit this witchcraft crime by one of the fugitive Zambian former member of parliament for Petauke, Mr. Emmanuel Banda, who they accused that is the one who hired them to be paid the sum of about 30,000 kwacha, a money which they did not receive. So today we're going to hear how many years they are probably going to be jailed. But according to information we have, they must be jailed not less than 5 years in prison. So it is an interesting case, like you've said, because at the beginning of this case, the state wanted this matter to be broadcast live on national television, but there was a change of mind by the judiciary that let it be held not in camera. So this is what has happened from Zambia.
Interesting development indeed, Mike. Speaking of interesting development, and this is a sizable one, Zambia and Zimbabwe secure $8 million for oil pipeline project.
Yes, this pipeline project, according to Biko Petroleum Chief Executive Director, is aimed at ensuring that Zambia has cheaper fuel. So the project, this one that is coming, the project itself, the feasibility study has already been conducted, and it is expected to take the contractor 2 years to complete. So it is coming at a time when Zambia is having instability in terms of prices for petroleum products. Because as we speak in Zambia, the price of petroleum is usually changed every after 1 month. But the government has been engaging partners to ensure that the price stability is controlled to help businesses properly plan for their operations. So this signing ceremony was held in Zimbabwe. It is likely coming at a time when the 2 countries have had a bit of a bilateral relationship, but with this project being signed, it looks like Zambia and Zimbabwe are truly Siamese twins. If I have to borrow the words of former President Michael Sata when he last visited Zimbabwe and met former late President also Robert Mugabe. So it looks that Zambia's relationship with Zimbabwe are truly on track.
Well, Zambia remains very busy, Mike, from Mangwanani to Dumela, as Zambia and Botswana also sign a new energy deal.
Yes, the new energy deal was signed in Lusaka. Acting Energy Minister Elvis Nkandu signed on behalf of the Zambian government. Then the Energy Minister from Botswana, Bonkolo Kwenakwendo, signed on behalf of the Botswanan government. So the idea is that Zambia and Botswana should share electricity generation through an improved structure, because some of the infrastructure that has been used has not been up to date. For instance, just 2 weeks ago, the infrastructure that Zambia exports electricity to Zimbabwe came up. There was a problem with that system, such that the parts of Kasani that receives electricity from Zambia did not receive electricity. As we all know, Zambia supplies to Botswana about 40% of its electricity. So this improved infrastructure that has been signed, the development infrastructure that has been signed between Zambia and Zimbabwe, Botswana, is aimed at ensuring that there's stability and there's continuous supply of electricity between Zambia and Botswana in order to boost trade as well as just bilateral relationship between the two countries. So this ceremony also marked a platform where Zambia and Botswana are supposed to update each other on the latest systems in terms of transmission of electricity. And the signing ceremony is also looking at how the two countries can share knowledge on on improving electricity generation through other alternative sources of energy, unlike depending only on hydro power generation. So it came at a time when Zambia is truly looking for answers to solve its electricity deficit that has created citizens to have access to electricity only 6 hours a day.
All right, Mike, we certainly wish Zambia all the best in the deals that they are making. And of course, these are some of the movements that highlight the importance of the Africa Free Continental Trade Area. Now we swing over to some entertainment. Zambia's biggest artist, arguably, I don't think it's a discussion, Yo Maps withdraws from Kwacha Music Awards amid controversy. Tell us about that, Mike.
Your map seems not to be any sort of controversy, like you've put it there. So what has happened is that the 2025 Kwacha Music Awards are supposed to take place towards the end of this year. So Your Maps was one of the nominees in the Best Male Music category. So what he did is, under his label, the Olios label, he said he was withdrawing from that nomination, and he proposed to the organizers that instead he wanted to sponsor two categories, one for Central Province where he comes from, and to sponsor the many male music awards, the main one where he himself was also a nominee. So he excused himself and said, I want to sponsor these two awards. However, one of his rivals in terms of music, Chile One, objected and said, this is unfair. How can someone who has been nominated in the Best Male category sponsor that category where I have also been nominated? So he thought Yo Maps was trying to undermine and ridicule him, to say, even if you won this award, I am going to give you the money that you are supposed to get once, if you are said you are the best male performing artist in Zambia. So this is what caused the controversy. So a number of people commented on it. Others supported Diomaps. Others said Diomaps was being unfair and he was undermining the awards themselves and also undermining other Zambia male artists who have worked so hard, even as the way has worked so hard. So now the Zambia Music Association, the body that represents musicians, has come out to say, in as much as Diomaps has got the right through his activities to sponsor an award, in this particular point, Diomaps is not in order because he is an active musician. Just not consider sponsoring any category under the 2025 Kwacha Music Awards. That is what they have guided. But we are yet to see if Diomaps is going to respond to this latest statement that has been made by the Zambia Association of Musicians. And also, the organizers of Kwacha Music Awards have not commented on the latest developments that have happened with regards to Diomaps an award during this year's event.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sichula, for delivering the Zambia report as only you can.
Thank you very much. Africa, good morning to our dear viewers.
Africa, good morning. Indeed. We're going to get into our economic news stories. And much like our top stories, we are in Malawi. As Malawi approaches its general election, long queues at petrol stations have overshadowed campaign rallies, reflecting frustration with fuel scarcity, power cuts, rising food costs, and unemployment. The presidential contest is expected to be a rematch between Lazarus Chakwera and Peter Mutharika alongside 15 other candidates. Campaigning has been subdued compared to past elections, with fewer T-shirts and billboards due to financial strain. In towns like Mangochi, young men sell fuel illegally at 5 times the official price, while inflation above 30% continues to erode wages. Chakwera recently apologized for shortages, blaming corrupt officials for sabotage. Half of Malawi's voters are under 35, but both leading candidates are in their 70s and 80s, leaving young people disillusioned about leadership options. Former President Joyce Banda has re-entered the race, promising reforms, while other contenders pledge radical change. Fertilizer prices, vital for rural households, have multiplied 6-fold since 2019, making food insecurity a pressing concern. Malawians remain hopeful that the outcome will address poverty, fuel supply, and economic survival. The last of our stories. African business leaders are gearing up for the Unstoppable Africa 2025 Summit. Preparations are underway for the 4th edition of this event, an initiative of the Global Africa Business Initiative set for September 21 to 22, alongside the UN General Assembly in New York. The event aims to reshape how Africa is perceived globally and expand opportunities for the continent's private sector. UN Global Impact Chief Sanda Ojambo said Africa must not only adapt but also lead, underscoring the continent's growing influence in trade and investment. Launched in 2022, Gabi has drawn support from the African Union and attracted strong participation from governments, global policymakers, and corporate leaders. The 2025 forum will explore Africa's role in global markets and leadership potential in trade, while also providing a platform to strengthen private sector resilience. Previous editions have engaged over 8,000 participants and 10 heads of state. That's been our economic news, and those have been our stories on Africa Good Morning. Thank you for joining us on DSTV 285, GOTV 25, 1up2.com, Network Media Hub on YouTube, as well as NTV Africa on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow, joined by Talent Kore as she delivers the Zimbabwe report, and of course, we'll still be bringing you the top stories from broader Africa. From me, Ashwin Bedi, let's have a good start to the week. Sweda Jahanaka.